There is a moment, in almost every apartment, where a room stops looking decorated and starts looking designed. It is almost never the furniture that does it. It is these 5 things, and most of them cost nothing to fix. The first thing that separates a designed room from a decorated one is almost invisible when it is done correctly, and glaringly obvious when it is not. It is what happens at the boundary where 2 materials meet, where the wood flooring ends and the tile begins, where a painted wall meets a paneled one, where a rug ends and bare floor takes over. Most people never think about this transition at all. The materials just happen to stop wherever the room happens to end, at whatever seam was easiest to install. Designers treat this boundary as a decision, not an accident. The transition is planned to land at a natural pause, a doorway, an inside corner, a change in the room's function, rather than at an arbitrary point in the middle of open floor. When a transition lands somewhere illogical, the eye registers it as unfinished even if it cannot say exactly why. When it lands at a point that makes sense, the eye reads the whole room as considered. This is a 5-minute fix in most apartments. Look at where your materials currently change, floor, wall, rug, and ask whether that boundary is landing at a point that makes sense, or just wherever it happened to end up. The second thing is scale, and it is different from style in a way that trips up almost everyone. A piece of furniture can be exactly the right style, the right color, the right material, and still be the wrong scale for the room it is in. A coffee table that is slightly too small next to a large sofa reads as a filler piece rather than a considered choice. A rug that stops short of the furniture rather than extending under the front legs makes the whole seating area look like it is floating rather than anchored. An oversized lamp on a small side table draws attention to itself for the wrong reason. Designers check scale as its own separate question after style has already been decided. Does this piece's size relate correctly to the piece next to it, and to the room as a whole? A well-chosen coffee table is usually around 2/3 the length of the sofa it sits in front of. A rug is usually sized so the front legs of the seating around it rest on top of it, not beside it. These are not arbitrary rules. They are the difference between furniture that looks assembled and furniture that looks resolved. Walk your room and check just this one thing. Does every piece's size feel correctly related to what is next to it? Or did you choose based on style alone and never come back to check the scale? The third thing is tonal layering, and it is easy to confuse with simply adding more. A room with only one tone of warmth throughout, even if every individual piece is beautiful, tends to read as flat. Not boring necessarily, but visually one-dimensional. Everything sitting on the same plane with nothing to give the eye a sense of depth. The instinct when a room feels flat is usually to add something. But the fix is rarely another object. It is variation in tone and warmth among the objects already there. A room gains depth when its materials sit at slightly different points on the same warm to cool spectrum. A slightly cooler stone alongside a warmer wood, a matte textile against a subtly glossier surface. This is not about clashing colors. It is about ensuring that not everything in the room lands on the exact same tonal note, because when everything matches too precisely, the room stops reading as layered and starts reading as matched, which is a subtly different and less sophisticated effect. If a room feels flat despite looking correct, the fix is probably not a new object. It is checking whether everything in the room currently sits at the same temperature and finding one or two places to introduce a slightly different one. The fourth thing matters most in open floor plans and small apartments where walls are a luxury you do not have, and it is one of the least understood techniques in this entire list. In an open plan space, a living zone and a dining zone often share one continuous floor and one continuous room, with nothing physically separating them. Left alone, this reads as one undefined area rather than two considered spaces. Designers define these zones without ever adding a wall, through a change in flooring material or pattern, through a rug that claims one zone's footprint precisely, through a shift in ceiling treatment or lighting that signals a different zone has begun. The test is simple. Stand at the edge of an open plan space and ask whether you can tell, just by looking at the floor and the light, where one zone ends and another begins, without needing the furniture to tell you. If the only thing separating your living area from your dining area is the position of the sofa, the zones are not actually defined. They are just furniture placed in an undivided box. This is one of the more overlooked techniques in small apartment design specifically, because open floor plans are so common in small spaces, and the instinct is almost always to define zones with furniture alone, when flooring and lighting can do it more permanently and more convincingly. The fifth thing is visual weight, and it explains a specific kind of wrong that a room can feel even when nothing in it, taken individually, is wrong at all. A room can have a sofa on one side and a matching chair on the other, symmetrical in a literal sense, and still feel lopsided. This happens when visual weight, which comes from color, texture, and density, not just physical size, is not actually distributed evenly. A dark, heavy bookcase on one side of a room is not balanced by a similarly sized but pale, light armchair on the other, even though the two objects occupy comparable floor space. The bookcase reads as heavier, and the room tips. Designers balance visual weight, not just physical size. A large dark piece on one side of a room is often balanced not by an equally large piece on the other side, but by two or three smaller, well-placed elements whose combined visual weight adds up to roughly the same. This is why some rooms with asymmetrical furniture arrangements feel more settled than rooms with furniture placed in perfect mirror image symmetry. If a room feels subtly lopsided despite looking symmetrical on paper, the issue is probably visual weight, not physical arrangement, and the fix is almost never to add furniture to the lighter side. It is to reconsider whether the heavier side needs to lighten in tone or in density, rather than be matched in size. 5 finishing touches. None of them require new furniture. A transition that lands where it should. Scale that relates correctly. Tone with real depth. Zones you can read without the furniture telling you. Subscribe for more, and go check your own space against this list.